The future is the hope we all wait for, the definitive road to our reborn independence. Finally, a free open-source browser, detached from big multi-tech companies and compromised foundations burned by their own delirium. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ladybird, and today the future becomes present, because with your Linux, it will be installed on your computer. Let me make one premise, a very important premise that I want you to understand clearly. Ladybird is not even in a public alpha state. It's still an embryonic project in development phase. Don't expect anything usable in daily life, but this way you can follow its development, see the progress, and above all, if you're competent and know what you're reporting, also report bugs. Please, don't install Ladybird and flood the developers with non-existent reports or random requests. So for most of you, this should just be an experience, a journey into the future. Ladybird on your computer, and that's it. This is really important to understand because we're talking about a project in its infancy, a project with huge ambitions, but still taking its first steps. This is the official guide to compile Ladybird, but it shouldn't be read as a trivial list of dependencies. It should be read as a declaration of intent, a manifesto of what this project wants to be. Ladybird doesn't want to rely on distribution libraries, doesn't want to live on compromises between 1,000 different package versions. It wants to build a coherent, controlled, reproducible ecosystem. And this inevitably has a price. The first compilation takes time, quite a bit of time actually, but in return, you get a build that behaves much more uniformly across different systems. This is a completely different philosophy from what we're used to in the Linux world. Usually projects try to integrate as much as possible with existing system libraries. Ladybird takes a different path, a more radical path, building everything from scratch to ensure maximum control and consistency. On Ubuntu and Debian, once you've installed the build environment, the process is practically identical to what we saw on Void. The package names change, but the logic is the same. First, you set up the toolchain. Then the project does the rest with its own tools. So on Ubuntu or Debian, I always start in a very simple way. I update the package index and install what's really needed. First of all, we need Git, the version control system that allows us to clone the entire Ladybird repository from GitHub. Without Git, we can't even start. Then we need CMake, the build system configurator. CMake reads the project configuration and generates the actual build files that Ninja will then use. Ninja is the build system itself, the tool that actually compiles the code. Much faster than traditional Make, and that's why modern projects prefer it. Build Essential is a meta package on Debian-based systems. It includes the GCC compiler, standard C library development files, and other essential build tools. Without this, we simply can't compile anything written in C or C++. Python is needed because many of Ladybird's build scripts are written in Python. These scripts automate various parts of the build process, from downloading dependencies to configuring certain components. pkconfig is a helper tool that helps the build system find installed libraries and their compilation flags. It's essential when linking against system libraries. Zip and unzip are needed because some dependencies come in compressed archive formats, and we need to extract them. NASM is the net-wide assembler. It's needed because some low-level multimedia libraries include hand-optimized assembly code for performance reasons. Qt6 is a big one. The entire Qt framework, providing the graphical user interface toolkit that Ladybird uses for its window, buttons, menus, and all visual elements you interact with. Qt is massive, one of the most comprehensive GUI toolkits available for cross-platform development. Finally, we need X11 and OpenGL development libraries. X11 is the traditional windowing system on Linux, and even though Wayland is becoming more popular, X11 is still widely used, and Ladybird needs it to create windows and handle input. OpenGL is needed for hardware-accelerated graphics rendering, essential for smooth scrolling, CSS transforms, and video playback. Once this is done, the rest is almost poetic in its simplicity. You clone the official repository, enter the folder, and launch the main script. It's that script that transforms a huge project into a single repeatable command. And this is where the really interesting part begins. The script handles everything, downloading additional dependencies, configuring the build environment, setting compilation flags, and building all components. From the user's perspective, It's beautiful in its simplicity, even though underneath it's doing incredibly complex things. Now a process starts that on my machine lasted about 40 minutes. And I want to talk about what's happening during this time, because it's not just sitting there doing nothing. The build process is compiling thousands and thousands of source files. Ladybird includes not just the browser code itself, but its own implementations of web standards, its own JavaScript engine, its own CSS parser, its own HTML renderer, networking stack, and much more. Every single one of these components is being built from source code. The compiler reads C++ files, parses them, optimizes them, and generates machine code, file by file. And when you have a project of this size, it takes time. Don't worry about pulse audio errors you might see during the build. It doesn't mean the build failed. It means there's no audio backend available, so that functionality will be disabled. The browser can start anyway, but don't expect audio. And it's also a reminder, Ladybird is still in full development, and certain desktop integrations aren't complete yet. Audio support is nice to have, but not essential for basic web browsing. So the developers focused on getting core rendering and navigation working first. And that's actually a smart development strategy. Get the fundamentals solid before adding bells and whistles. The compilation process is fascinating if you watch it. Thousands of lines scrolling by, each one representing a file being compiled or a library being linked. Modern C++ compilation is incredibly complex. Template parsing, type checking, assembly optimization, edge cases everywhere. Multiply this by thousands of files, and you understand why it takes so long. But that's also why the result is impressive. You're building a complete web browser from scratch, something that can parse HTML, execute JavaScript, render complex layouts, and handle network requests. And here it is, in all its splendor. The last time I tried it, I compiled Serenity OS, and I have to admit, this version is significantly improved. Previously, it was constant crashes. The interface is very simple, and I like it. I hope they keep it like this, at least in its simplicity. There's something refreshing about a browser that doesn't try to do everything. Modern browsers have become incredibly bloated, features upon features, settings upon settings, until finding what you need becomes a challenge in itself. Ladybird's simplicity feels like a throwback to the early days of web browsers, when they were tools for viewing web pages, not entire application platforms. In the settings, we can do little. For example, I changed my home page when opening a new tab. You can choose search engines, but little more. The settings panel is minimal, almost sparse, but that's intentional at this stage. The developers are focusing on core functionality, rather than endless configuration options. You can set your home page. You can choose your search engine. Beyond that, no themes, no extension support, no advanced privacy controls. These will come later as the project matures. Yes, I tried to access my channel. It didn't work. YouTube is not compatible yet. And this is a huge challenge for any new browser engine. YouTube uses incredibly complex JavaScript, advanced web APIs, proprietary streaming protocols. Getting YouTube to work is a litmus test for web compatibility. The fact that it doesn't work yet tells us Ladybird still has a long way to go. In JavaScript maturity and API completeness, YouTube pushes browsers to their limits: adaptive streaming, DRM, complex player controls, real-time comments. One of the most demanding websites out there. I tried some news sites. They work, but the crash risk is high. News sites are simpler than web applications like YouTube, but still use modern layouts, images, CSS, and JavaScript. The fact they work shows Ladybird can handle real-world HTML and CSS. The crash risk tells us stability issues remain, edge cases in rendering or memory management. However, it works perfectly for my site, perfectly rendered, navigable, very fast, and this is encouraging. It shows that well-coded, standards-compliant websites already run beautifully on Ladybird. No complex frameworks, no cutting-edge APIs, just clean HTML and CSS, and it flies. Probably because Ladybird has no overhead, no tracking, no extensions, no decades of accumulated complexity. Little more, you can't modify the bar or add buttons yet. Everything is still experimental. The toolbar is fixed, no customization, no bookmark buttons, no added controls. Because customization is complex, flexible UI systems, persistent preferences, usability design. Right now, the developers focus on one thing: making the browser work. Render pages correctly, Browse reliably. Polish and customization will come later. But I'm sure you enjoyed the journey, because being able to see a dream, something we wait for in the future, already present on our desktop, gives us optimism. To wait serenely for a more functional release that finally allows us to browse in simplicity and freedom on the web. This is what it's about. Ladybird represents hope. Hope for a truly independent browser, not controlled by big tech, not beholden to corporate interests, not compromised by advertising models, a browser built by the community, for the community, with the goal of creating something pure, simple, and free. And even though it's not ready for daily use yet, seeing it run on your own computer, rendering real web pages, is inspiring. It shows the dream is real, progress is happening, and one day we might finally have a true alternative to the Chrome-Firefox duopoly. With this, that's all, and may Linux be with you.